Hey, good evening, everybody. So, my name's Theus. As you guys know, if you're on this channel, because you've probably checked out other things in the past, it's been a minute since I did the last live. Um, Sorry, sometimes it's Friday, sometimes it's Saturday. I've had some family things going on, but it's spring break and things have settled for this week. So here I am. And yeah. So thank you for those who tune in to catch this live. And for anyone who catches this on the replay, thank you so much for clicking on this and, listening to me, run my mouth. Now, I anticipate we'll have a guest this evening. I believe Tracy will be coming back on to chat with us. She has another show, so she's probably still over there. But whenever she does come, if she's able to make it, we'll go ahead and add her in and we'll go in it from there. Uh, Little housekeeping. So, this channel is pretty much the only place I make content right now. I do still have our United Core, but I'm taking it in a different direction. So, there's not going to be any content on that for probably the foreseeable future. And if you have topics or ideas or something you want me to, you want to get my take on, shoot me an email. This is my email on the screen, complexmindsimpleman@gmail.com. Um, I see your message, I'll read it and probably put it right on here. Gives me something to talk about. And I mean, I would say answer any questions, but it's like I'll give you the answers that I know to give. Right. So please feel free, hit me up. So continuing on the new third party bandwagon concept, I don't even know, man. Look, the last video I did was kind of talking about a new third party, and I feel like we need to have a new third party. I think now is the time for it. And it's funny. I mean, when I say a new third party, maybe not, right? It could be one of the third parties that already exists. I'm just haven't been overly impressed with what I've seen from some of the more established ones. So I'm saying we need something else, which is what this discussion is about. Because now we can talk about not just what does the Green Party say, what does the Freedom for All Party say, what does the what is it? I don't know, any of the third parties, right? Um, Not just what they say because they have their particular lanes, but what I'm trying to come at is, America is in the midst of a trial. It's in the midst of a very difficult time, in my opinion, and I want to see where we can go from here and what kind of nation we're going to build coming out of this. And I'm not currently hearing that from any of the options in front of us. Republican Party. I honestly, other than what I know as far as the cultural draw that they have, it makes no sense to me that they even still exist. They should be so uh, toxic or repulsive to the vast majority of people that the party shouldn't even be really relevant at this point. You know, um, I mean, really, what do they stand for? Cruelty, selfishness, myopia. They don't represent their base. They don't speak up for their base. They don't do anything. It's just really bad how the Republican Party is, and xenophobia is like way high on their priority scale. So I just don't. I mean, come on. I understand why they exist, why they can still exist. I just wish that wasn't the case. There's far too many of our fellow Americans who still can rock with that. Then there's the Democratic Party, and they're just feckless, right? Like, I don't know what they stand for, and I've been a voting Democrat for my entire voting life, right? Like, they don't, their whole plan for the extended period of time that I've, since Obama, right? And really, Obama, his whole thing was hope and change. So that's not a governing strategy either. Um, but after him, they didn't even have one. It was just we're not Trump, and then that's what we've been kind of saddled with since then. And now here we are in a new era. It's a new version of the Republicans, a new version of the Democrats. The Democrats are weaker. They still don't let their best voices truly shine and step forward. They'll let them talk from time to time, but they won't give them leadership. That's deeply problematic for a party that needs to engage its base. And the Republicans, they're just, getting fat off of being in power. So I'm like, hey, what's next, right? I don't think either of those are good solutions or options. So I want to see something new. I want to see how are we going to take care of the country? How are we going to fix what's good, Parker? Um, how do we fix what's wrong? How do we close some of these gaps? How do we build something that actually works for more of America than currently does? Uh, I am not of the opinion that we need to completely turn things upside down to where we punish everybody who's been winning, so to speak. But we need to make this where if you imagine a bell curve, right? And bell curves, yeah, and right down the middle, that's your midpoint, that's your median. But then on the two far edges, those are your extremes, right? And so to me, those extremes represent the exceptions. What's in the midst of the bell curve, the vast majority of the bell curve, that's the rule. And I am more interested in fixing and expanding the rule so the rule works to the benefit of more people than obsessing over what's happening in the exception categories, right? So that's kind of like where this is coming from, right? But like I said, this today, we're going to hit up my thoughts on international, right? So international affairs. So what is America, or what is my policy prescription for America now that we're coming out of this, right? So this is what I want to see out of a party platform. These are my thoughts. They can be a new party. They can be adopted by an existing party. But this is what I would like to hear and what I would like to see. So I'm gonna look around a lot because I got notes and stuff, and I'm getting older, so my eyesight sucks. But yo, Parker, I see you out there, man. If you got any comments, anything like that, toss them at me, and we'll slide off over there. Even if you want to hit me up on anything as far as like with some of the current events that are going on, I'm following them as best I can. But it's a lot going on. Like every time we turn around, that's what we got this crazy environment that we're trying to function in. So there's different parts of the international affairs aspect of my party vision. Okay. So first part I want to hit on is the military, right? We're in the midst of a war, even though it's not a declared war, which to me makes it illegal because the president can start a war. But if in order to continue and wage a war, Congress has a vote on it. That's what's in that so-called constitution thing we got going. So until that happens, this war is illegal. Okay. Especially when you got the president and his crew calling it a war. At the same time, they're saying it can't be a war because it's not declared. Right. So let's hit this before we move into it. I don't want to get you off track with what you're about to talk about, but just curious, is everything good with Marlon? Hope you all show will come back, but I like your streams too. Hey, thank you for that kindness, Parker. Marlon is taking a break. He's working on something. He's not even really in communication with me or Anna right now. But we also, hope that he's doing okay. And we're here when he's ready to bounce back. But he's been working through some things, so that's why the show hasn't been on. So, yeah. Um, so yeah, so military. Um, sorry, I'm a little disjointed, because that's true. Like Marlon is a big part of everything. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even be recording and stuff. So we definitely look forward to him coming back. Um, but so for me, new party, international affairs. I think that it's going to be responsibility of whatever party is in power, not only whatever party's in power, every party, everything in Washington needs to be focused on how do we re-engage with the world, because we're going to have a lot of damage control that goes into just being a nation, and now we're going to have to come back similar to how the UK, when they let their xenophobia and their selfishness and their hatred and all those other things that are really manifestations of irrational fears that allowed them to go down Brexit. America voted for its own version of Brexit by bringing this guy back, right? So we got to suffer the consequences. And when America comes back, it's not going to come back to what it had, and we need to acknowledge that. And for a person like me who wasn't impressed with what we were before, I'm kind of low key, okay. I'm not okay with what he's doing, right? But I'm okay with the effects. You know, I think America needs to take its medicine, and it needs to realize that being the strongest doesn't make you the most powerful. And this reset is going to humble America in a lot of different ways. Our prices are going to go up, I anticipate, because now we're going to have to compete with the rest of the world as opposed to dictating to the rest of the world. And we're not going to have the same respect internationally, because let's just be real, a lot of that respect was born on people having to be extra kind to America because America was in the dominant position it was sitting in. Right? That's just what you do to the stronger force that can impact your life. And when we re-engage after this, provided we don't fall into the trap of being so stuck on our own individual little niche feelings and stuff that we can't put the country ahead of whatever individual priorities we have. Because if we can't do that, then then the left, whatever you define yourself on the left, we're gonna lose again. And we're gonna have more of this. Because if after Trump, we still put a Republican or a conservative in office, that is all. I mean, you can't even tell me that that's not what America wants. You wanted this. You had him during COVID. You didn't learn. Okay, fine. Then you put him back in. So that means that you weren't confused. This is what America chose. And people are going to say, I didn't vote for him. Well, if you didn't vote, you voted for him. If you voted third party, you voted for him. And there's no judgment on it, so to speak. You did what you did. You did what you felt was the best decision. We all did what we felt was the best decision at that time. But now we've had 2 rounds of this. And they're, to me, very chaotic. So if you don't want this, then it means you have to do something different. And voting for a Republican after this is saying that you want more of the same. It's saying you want the isolationism. It's saying you want the chaos theory. It's saying you want to be a disruptor in all cases, even though it's not taking care of your nation and your economy and your people. That's what you're saying. So my plea to y'all out there is, even though I'm talking about a third party, is do what makes sense in the short run. Until we've built an alternative to what we have going on, at least please pick for harm reduction, please, people. Like, let's try to avoid more of this so we can try to rebuild something. Of course, I am of the opinion that we have to go into this eyes wide open. in that we're not, as a nation, not in a position to get somebody in there that's going to fix things. Not in 2028. Not from what I'm seeing right now. What we're going to get in 2028 is either more chaos, which is the Republicans, or you're going to get something like it's not even a return to normalcy. It'll just be more like a calming moment where we'll kind of pretend everything is okay, but nothing gets fixed and nothing gets changed, right? And personally, that's not good enough for me. So that's why I'm talking this third party talk. That's why I'm saying, okay, cool. That may be what America moves into for 2026 and 2028, but that means that we have to work so that by 2030 and 2032, we have an alternative that's in position to win and put some people in Congress so that we can start to affect how the country moves. And that's the spirit of this. And if you watch my first video on this series, I gave you a timeline, all that good stuff. So once again, all right, military. No wars of aggression, right? I believe that the next administration that comes in and really the America of the next 40 to 50 years, right? That America is what I'm talking to, is what I'm speaking for. And we don't need to have any more wars of aggression, right? Our party's position in America will be to not initiate military action unprovoked, right? Now you start something and we got to come and finish it. But as far as like what's happening right now, where you just choose a weaker nation and you attack it, no to what we're doing in Iran, no to what they're threatening to do in Cuba, no to what they did in Venezuela, no, right? That's not how we use our military force. That's just not what it should be. We take on a defensive military posture, similar to how China moves. Everybody knows China is a lethal force, just like we are. But China does not lead with its military force. It leads with other subversive or coercive activities, but it's not wandering around saying, I'll blow you up. Okay. And maintain a military of maximum lethality, right? That's what they love to say in politics, right? We're a lethal fighting force. So maintain that, right? We need to. We made a lot of enemies. So we need to be able to fight our butt off anytime we have to. And if you look at what's happening in Iran, proof positive, our military can fight, okay? But they shouldn't be there, right? They shouldn't be there. So we're going to focus on lethality, elite capabilities, and prioritize national defense over a projection of force, right? So in part, like if you're a Army infantry soldier, okay, you're what could be kind of considered a generalist. Okay, you are a fighting force, but you're not the Marines, right? The Marines are trained to another level up. The Marines are a smaller group. The Army infantry and their mechanized divisions and all the other divisions, they're huge. So they're trained to do their thing, but up to a competent level, because we're trying to overwhelm the opposition, right, with numbers and force. Whereas the Marines, smaller unit, very much like Army infantry, but they're like up one, right? They're almost like being Army Rangers. They're specialized. They're very well trained, and they're able to be a force multiplier in a way that the generalists aren't. So I'm saying train all military forces at least up to the Marine Corps level or standard, right? Bring them all up to that, and then focus on expanding our special operations umbrella so that we have more elite troops, because the fighting of now is not the fighting of 30 years ago. look at what's happening right now. Ground forces eventually might become in play, but it's not like it used to be. Right? You're not rolling tanks all over the place for the most part. Look at what's happening in Ukraine. Rolling tanks out there, a drone to get it, and what did you accomplish? So we're in a much more automated, technology-driven battlefield. So we need more automated, AI-driven, remote, right? That type of technology. We're not putting human beings in the foreground the way we used to. So let's draw that back. We don't need as many people in the army, in the military period. But for the people we do have in the military, we need them very highly trained and very capable, very much force multipliers. And so that's the no wars of aggression part. Then military and Department of Defense. I think that needs to be restructured. I've touched on some of these. I'm gonna skip around a little bit. So scale up the combat automation, like I said, scale down the human personnel side of it. And I said this in the last video, but we need to have a full audit of the Department of Defense. So top to bottom, you got a contract with the government for our defense force, a defense contract. It needs to be audited. Are you doing what you say you're supposed to do? Is the money being used the way it needs to be done? Or are we just kind of throwing money out there? And clean that up. The Department of Defense is the only government entity I'm aware of that it doesn't get audited, and it doesn't, or when it is audited, it can't pass, right? So that is unacceptable when we're talking about the amount of money. Sorry, I'm trying to check something here. Cool. But we need to do that, right? And how do we do it? I think we can establish a cross-functional oversight department. I don't trust Congress to do this. They've had it all this time. So we need to bring some more into the fold. So this would be a whole new department. Like we like making departments. Why not make one that actually works for something? So we'll have a cross-functional department. It'll be Congress, members of Congress, be members of the executive branch, and be members of the judicial branch. And now you'll have all three of them comprising the governing body that's watching over, and they're doing the approvals, and they have to, when you have to get leadership put in place, they're the ones who vote, who screen, vote, and put these people in place, right? So that would be that one. And by doing it this way, no one branch has more authority over this department than any other. So they're largely independent because they don't answer to any one group. Like the president can't say, well, I overrule that. No. These three institutions have their representatives. Those representatives handle the business. And then let's talk a little bit about soft power, right? With this administration, when it came in, one of the things it did was it got rid of USAID. And that was part of our foreign aid program that was more than just giving food and medicine to people. It was also how we gathered information. It was also like CIA information sharing, information farming type of thing. So you're building relationships with these warlords and these different communities and stuff, but you're doing it not at the end of a weapon, right? You're feeding them and stuff like that. You're doing things the way like China oftentimes like interacts with other countries. So I'm saying we need to do much more of that. Also reevaluate our military outposts, our military posture around the world. So let's take a look at what bases we have, what outposts we have, and determine, like, are they in the best place for us? Do they make sense to still be there? Do we still need to be sitting in Germany? Do we still need to be sitting in Japan. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But I would push for that, and we'll negotiate the new arrangements where they're necessary, and we'll end the old arrangements where we don't need them. You know, and make sure that we're ready to stand to defend our allies. Okay, so like Israel is an ally. Okay, cool. Well, if somebody attacks Israel, then we show up and help defend our ally. But Israel deciding to kick off wars all across the Middle East, no, we're not giving you the weapons for it. We're not giving you the money for it. We're not playing that game. But if somebody comes for you, especially unprovoked, then we show up, right? Foreign aid. I said so. Recommit to foreign aid programs, right? So, food, technology, infrastructure, it's like establish partnerships. You know, you come into the country, say, oh, similar like we say about China. Oh, you need bridges? Okay, yeah. So I'll tell you what, we'll help you build these bridges, but we're gonna be here for a while, right? We're gonna enter into some like diplomatic arrangements or whatever it is. But you make those kinds of trades, right? Maybe resources for infrastructure or things like that. Economic partnerships. This was little. I was just kind of like came off the top of my head with this one, but it's like a private public joint venture. So I'm just going to pick somebody like, let's say it's Chevron, right? One of the big oil conglomerates, and Venezuela, right? America. First of all, make our apologies to Venezuela and leave them people alone, and then negotiate. Right? Okay, you have a lot of oil reserves, but you don't have the equipment, you don't have the technology, you don't have the specialists there to get it out the ground the most efficiently and profitable way that you can. So what we'll do, if we'll offer this to you, create an agreement, right? We will partner with Chevron, okay? So that way we have some controls here, and then we'll split the profits. I'm just making up a number, but you get 70, we get 10, Chevron gets 20, right? To help you get up to where you need to be. And now everybody's making money, and you got the benefit of expertise, infrastructure, machinery, technology, all those wonderful things. And that's what we do, right? Also, let's see, renegotiate a lot of these international agreements, right? So the new NAFTA, so is it the USMCA, US Mexico Canada agreement? I know it's been tinkered with a couple times because the current administration doesn't hold itself to any promises that it's made in the past, but this would be a new administration, so we will come in and we'll say, okay, look, Canada, Mexico, you're our two closest neighbors. We've had some issues. Let's like take the USMCA. We're gonna just literally cancel it. Okay. Now let's work out the new deal. And we get our people together and we work out the new deal. Okay. And basically anything else that Trump touched, right? It all needs to be renegotiated. Don't pull a Biden. Don't just be like, well, we'll leave it there. It's not exactly what we want, but we'll leave it there. No, we need to go in there, basically reset the table and say, this is our 20-year plan with you, our 30-year plan, our 10-year, our 20-year, our 30-year plan with you, and renegotiate that, understanding that these people are going to be very skeptical, because we keep going back on ourselves. So even though Trump is the one who keeps going back on things, the reality is he represents America. He represents us. So the deficit of trust that we're dealing with, that's us. So we need to renegotiate in good faith, start all over with a lot of these things. And that will be the new way forward, and 2 presidents from now, if we set it on like a 10-year scale, renegotiate or tinker around with it if you need to, but give these countries the ability to believe again that something that we say, even if the administration changes, the rules won't change with it. And right now we've lost that, because you had Trump did something or Biden did something, Trump did something, and sometimes Trump will change something every 6 months, every year. We have to get back to where, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, or in our case, whatever the new party is, America made this commitment. So we know that we can rely on this. They'll maintain this agreement, this contract. So we got to get to that. All right. So some of the other international agreements. NATO. Personally, I think NATO's done. I don't think it's going to survive this administration. And from my uninformed armchair position, NATO needs to go away. America's done so much damage to it that having us in NATO is causing more disruption than if we would just leave it alone. So, yeah, I think that trust is going to have to be built over multiple administrations. I agree. I mean, if I was somebody else, there's no way I would feel comfortable with America. So even if I make a new agreement with America, I'm doing it like, how do I know your people aren't going to vote JD back in 2032? Even if he loses in 28, how do I know you're not going to put him into 32? Like, I don't know what's going on with you, America. You guys are really doing some head games. So we have to be able to go in a weakened position and say, look, I know, okay, we are not holding the same trust with you that we used to. Right now, we are like any other country. We used to be unlike any other country. Now we are just like any other country. So we have to reestablish that trust, and it's going to take time. And it's got to be the type of thing where America maintains its agreements, unless it's a very serious need to renegotiate those agreements. But we can't be in a position where we change with the weather. We just can't do that. So I did UCMA, I already said that one. NATO, I just said that one. The UN. So like with the UN, I think I hit on this last time, but with the UN, I'm like, yo, we need to literally not this. Okay. Under the current administration, I would actually say disband the UN. And then, like, it's called the United Nations. Move it to Belgium and call it Nations United. I don't, you know what I'm saying? But create a whole new UN and America ain't in it. That's one. Or create a whole new UN. Yeah, basically, and America's not in it. You know, which is kind of what BRICS was kind of doing. But we're still the biggest boy on the block, so it's kind of hard to have something without us, you know. But why not? We may be the big boys, but we're over here. You know, it's not even like China. China is sitting right there with all the European nations and Russia and Africa. It's like they're all right there. America, we over here by ourselves. It's just us in South America. So I would say under the current type of administration, like let's say under Trump, or if JD is the one who follows him, then I think the UN needs to just be like, we're going to do our own thing. Because there's no way the US should have veto power in lockstep with Israel to do these types of things, right? Israel doesn't even have veto power, but they're able to use the US to do what they want them to do. I mean, we just had the US and Israel, I think it was just those two, it might have been one or two other nations, voted against acknowledging slavery as our Holocaust, right? Come on, man. I mean, I think I've been on long enough. That's fucked up. Okay. Like it was symbolic and you couldn't even vote for that. Come on. But if the administration changes and our party is like what steps into the fold, then I would say, yeah, let's redo the UN. And we already have the infrastructure, we already have everything. We got buildings, we got rules and traditions and all that. You can keep all that. Get rid of the veto power. No nation should have veto power. None. All right. This is the United Nations. So y'all vote on something and go where the vote goes. Okay. The UN Security Council, I guess maybe you still need to have that because those are your biggest countries or whatever, but none of them should have veto power. So that's what I would think with the UN. And rejoin the climate accord, rewrite, renegotiate the climate accord. We got some catching up to do. A lot of the changes were already too late, but at least we can start to do something better. And for those who say that we can't, just look back at the 80s when we had a hole in the ozone layer and all the countries pretty much got together and said, all right, well, look, science says that aerosols are destroying our ozone layer. And they got together and they made some changes and they allow for the ozone layer to basically heal itself, right? We did it before. We do it again, but just not with this type of leadership and absolutely not with this type of Congress. They're just pathetic. The whole Congress, garbage. But yep. And the non-proliferation treaty, America allowed that to expire. So it's not even a matter of renewing it. It's a matter of we got to rewrite it. We got to redo it because it's crazy that Russia's in it. America's not. That says a lot, right? Everybody we say are the bad guys are coming together to try to save the world. And we're the ones sitting on the outside saying, nah. Somebody else have authority over us? Nah, we ain't gonna do that. So we gotta get back into that, redo that. All right, so that was military as far as international goes. Military and a little bit of soft power type stuff too. But then is my controversial piece. I believe it's time for a national restructuring. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that we need to do secession. I'm not saying that. I'm okay. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is we need to reimagine America. Okay. And America has got some, I don't even know how to put it. So look, let's look at statehood. All right. We got our 50 states. You've heard me say before, I don't believe we should have territories. I don't believe that we should have colonies. I just don't. So I say you present each inhabited U.S. territory, aka colony, with the option of being included as a state. And if they decide, or they can go fully independent, can't stay as a territory. Okay. Now we have some unpopulated territories. They wouldn't get this option, right? We're just leaving them where they are. They're mainly either stuff that we've nuked to the point you don't want to put people on it, or we just use it as a military outpost. But if it has indigenous population or local population, then they should have the option to be a state. And if they don't want to be a state, then they can be independent. And if they become a state, they get all the rights, all the things that come with being a state, right? All your voting rights, all the financial support, all of it. You get your senator, you get your House members, you get all that good stuff. Okay. You also get your taxes and all that too. But yeah, be a state. But let's just say like Puerto Rico. Let's say Puerto Rico's like, I don't want to be a state. You guys have done too much dirty stuff to us. We voted on it. More of us have said that we want to be independent than be a state. Okay, that's your choice. But you've made that choice and understand that means you will be independent. All the good and all the bad that comes with it. So for 10 years, you will still be under our protection. You will have no voting rights. You will have no citizenship rights. All that stuff is gone. Okay. But we'll still watch over you for 10 years and we'll help you as far as like investment in economic investment and things like that. Because we want to keep the relationship. We want to still be cordial and friendly and everything. We understand you just decided you want to be independent, and that's okay. We're not going to punish you for choosing to be independent. But independent means independent. So after 10 years, you're on your own. If somebody else comes and invades you, sucks to be you. Like, we're not going to act like an ally and come fight on your behalf. No, you chose independence. This comes with that. So I think that would be a big thing. So yeah, that's me on the territories. Whatever you guys think, let me know. Now here's another one that's a little bit more. And no, I didn't say DC statehood because that's not a territory. That's a different discussion. I've had that discussion. I'll do it again, but I'm not doing it today, right? But this is something that I think would be pretty cool, right? I say offer statehood to other independent nations, right? So not even our territories. Just, hey, you want to be a part of the USA, right? You want to be I guess in this case, 54th state, you know? So we'll be looking at like, and this is not military, right? This is you choosing if you want to do this. And we'll just have to establish a process and all that where you vet and do all the good stuff. But Caribbean nations, South America, Central America, Europe, Africa, wherever you are, you know, let's just say Ukraine wanted to become a state, right? As long as we can make sure that they adopt our governing strategy and our economics and all those good things, and we approve it through Congress, then you're a state. And we just have a state that's way out there in the middle of Europe. You know, so I think that would actually be a pretty cool thing. You know, instead of having colonies all over the place, we'd actually have states. You know, it would make some things a little creative, but we live in a digital world, and travel and getting around isn't that hard. And I think it would actually be pretty good for establishing relationships, especially like in places like Europe, where we naturally already have a strong relationship in that place, even though we screwed it up quite a bit. But instead of holding pieces of these people's countries, this country chose to be part of this country. So yeah, let's do it. Let's run it. So got that. And yeah, so that was me on statehood, right? The territories, let them become a state if they want to become a state. It'll be a lot easier for them. And then any other nation that wants to become a state, maybe we'll check them out, see if we want to let them in. Hey, Tracy. Hi, Tracy. Can you hear me?
I'm eating and trying to talk to you at the same time, so I'm like, okay.
Oh, okay, cool. Did you hear anything that I said?
No, because I've been busy. See, today been a busy day. I know we're talking about third parties again.
Yeah, this is international affairs. Yeah.
Oh, this gonna be interesting.
Well, I've already hit on like my military um prescriptions or ideas and my soft power, you know, non-military type stuff. And I just got done talking about like the national restructure in my view. So like taking territories and letting them become states if they want to. If they don't want to become a state, then they need to go be independent. And what that would look like for them. And then the last part of that I brought up was opening up the statehood process to other countries, right? So let's say Barbados decided, I mean, they would never do it because they're very big on being independent and they just got free of being part of the UK. But let's say they were like, yeah, I want to be a state in the United States, and then we'll have them go through their process, and they will become a state. So, any thoughts on that?
I feel like DC has to be. I feel DC has to be first.
DC's not a territory.
I know, but it's not a state either.
No. When we had that discussion, I don't know if you were part of the discussion though. I might have just had it by myself.
No, I was here because I kept saying no. DC definitely needs to be a state. You're like, okay. Oh no, they don't. I'm like, yes, they do.
Yeah. So no, that wouldn't be part of my plan. But if that's where the party decides to go, then of course we can rock with it. I'm not like firmly against it, like I said before. It's just not something I would advocate for. What about opening up statehood to countries that are not currently territories?
No.
Why not?
They're already independent. That's more expenses. That's more money. That's more areas that we're stretched. We're already, well, basically, the only thing we pay for is war. So I feel like they're
already a lot more than war.
We pay for mostly war. Nobody fights on the war budget. Everybody's like, yeah, let's raise the Pentagon's budget. Okay, let's go.
Well, that's true, but we pay for a lot more than war.
I don't think I'm for it. It doesn't make sense to me why, and I'm trying to pick like a small Jamaica. I'll just pick Jamaica because why would they want to become a state? They have their own economy, they have their own government, they have their own. I'm like, well, there's no benefit for them.
Well, I would agree that there would be very few, if any, takers. Okay, especially based on how America's been acting for the last decade.
I was gonna say, and look at our track record. It's not like, I mean, we basically stole Hawaii. We was like, oh yeah, oh no, you're a state now. They were like, what this thing here?
But that was back then. We can't undo what we've already done. We can only try to do better going forward. So Jamaica, let's use Jamaica as an example, right? Here are some of the ideas I would say. Here's some of the reasons I would say they would not be interested, right? Like you said, they got their own economy. They're taking care of themselves already, right? And they don't have to deal with the foolishness in Washington. They got to deal with the foolishness in their own government, but they ain't got to deal with the foolishness in Washington. But some reasons that they might want to become a state. The global warming is wreaking havoc across the globe, which means they've been hit pretty bad with these hurricanes as of late. Being part of America as a state, you will be able to get rebuilt. You'll be able to get better infrastructure, different investment, things like that. Plus, you'll have military protection. Plus, which right now they don't really need it, but we don't know where the world's going as resources get funny and all the nations are acting goofy. But you would have that. You would have the military protection from there, not as like an ally, but as an actual state. And as far as like stressing resources, they operate at a lower standard and cost of living than America does. So it would bring those things up. And because this would be like the new land thing for us, you see a lot of money flood in there. So positive, negative on that, because now the locals will be largely pushed out of their own place and they come back to the mainland. But it's a mixed bag, right? It's a mixed bag. But there are reasons they may want to. I don't think there would be too many independent nations that would be like, yeah, sign me up. I'm going to give up my autonomy and my flag so that I can come be a part of your nonsense. No, I agree. Ain't going to be too much of that happening.
I mean, there's no reason for them to do it.
No, I just gave you reasons why they would do it.
I mean, the reasons you get, I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to say again, look at the track record. Look at the track record. We can look at what our country is doing right now, not way back 20 years. I'm talking about right now, to places like Venezuela, talking about taking over Greenland. I don't even know what Greenland actually did to us. Iran,
Nothing.
Syria. I could keep Cuba.
But that's
Cuba
different.
is
That's a different argument, though. That's a whole different thing.
no, but our track record, the track record is America just takes what it wants. Why would it even? Why wouldn't they just take it over? You get what
Because
I'm
we
saying?
don't want to be like that, right? So this is a new third party, right? And if not, then it's taking over an existing third party and redefining it. But this is a new way of America.
Yeah,
So
I
this
don't
is
think
what
I'm for this one.
this is building the America of the next 40 to 50 years. Not, you know what I'm saying? So it's like what we've done in the past, a lot of that's still going to carry forward because it's what America is. But this is completely optional and voluntary. So if you want to join, go through the process and join. If you don't want to join, don't join. Right? No military threats, no economic threats, no political threats. You want it? Here's a process. You don't want it? That's that process. We good. Carry on. Like, I don't know if you heard me when I was talking about, like, let's say Puerto Rico decides they don't want to be a state. Right?
Which they have. They've done that in the past.
They've done that in the past. So let's say that but this would be a cut bait moment, right? So, hey guys, we're not going to have territories anymore. You don't get to be in the middle ground anymore. That's done. So you're either a state or you're independent. And if they say they want to be a state, bring them in as a state. Be easy. They're already a territory. So we already have all the infrastructure and stuff that's there. We just got to make it better. Done. They say, no, I don't want to be a state. Finally can be free of you monsters and Neanderthals. Okay. So for 10 years, we will continue to watch over you and keep you safe. You will have our extension of our umbrella like you've always had. But at the end of the 10 years, you're on your own. So that means you got to defend yourself. You can make whatever alliances you want to make. But understand, our hands will be off. And so if somebody invades, we're not coming. Unless we feel like we have to fight them because, like, China is coming on our shore. So we're going to go fight China because they're in our backyard. But we're not going to fight on your behalf. Like, that's you. Whatever happens to you. So that would be my plan with territories.
I would say no plan is the best plan. I just can't see the benefit of more states. I literally can't.
Well, it's funny for you to say that because I think we all agree that our Congress is screwed up.
Yes, and that's going to bring more
states.
If we're having this new, if we're having this new third party that's divorced from the two parties. Well, let me back up.
You can't be divorced from it. You would just be a third party.
Yeah, we'd be a third party. I mean, in terms of our values and our core, we're divorced from the AIPAC money and all of that stuff. First of all, let's get this straight. They're not going to just sit back and take defeat without going through the courts. Let's just say that right off the bat because they got money, they know how to operate. No, let me finish. So what I'm saying is they're going to be fighting too. Remember this, they're still going to exist. They don't go away, right? They're still going to be there causing trouble, causing ruckus. And now you've got those two working together against these territories becoming states.
Okay. So this is my view on things. I'm putting out what the party would be after, right? Because we're competing on ideas. So this is what we are presenting, right? So let's play out a little bit of what you just said, right? So I come out and I say, hey, this is what our party is pushing for as it relates to territories. And then the Democrats and the Republicans will see that as a threat because as dysfunctional as Congress is and as functional as the Electoral College is, they like the fact that only one of the two of them can win. Right? So they're going to be like, no, status quo. Fine. You make that argument. All right. I'm coming out here saying, Puerto Rico, you want to be a state? We're going to let you become a state. And it's not going to be litmus tested on, will they be a Democrat state or will they be a Republican state? No, they'll be a state. And then they will decide how they vote because they have the right as U.S. citizens to vote however they vote. Right. Now, that's my position. Democrats, what is your problem with that? Well, we already have too much debt. All of a sudden, Democrats and Republicans are going to say the exact same words. We got too much debt. And okay, cool. So your argument to the American public is you don't want to bring Puerto Rico in as a state because of debt. But Puerto Rico is a territory, which means their debt is ours already. So what are you really saying? See what I'm saying? Like, let's have the argument. Let's air this out. Republicans and Democrats, at the end of the day, is going to come out. Democrats are going to make a money argument, and Republicans are going to make a racial argument. And I'm saying make the arguments. Put it out there.
I'm not. If you're going to do territories, let's just say, even though I'm particularly, I still don't think I'm for it. But let's just say y'all changed my mind. Okay. Does Cuba get that same offer?
They're not a territory. They would get the second part. They would get the other part.
But they get the extension of, hey, y'all want to be part of the United States?
Yeah, they would get that option if they want.
Yeah, you just lost the whole state of Florida. you just said, hey, Florida.
No, I'm not. So first of all, and I love that you're saying, because this is important. So this is a new party, right? This is my vision for the new party is, like I said before, what type of America do I want to live in for the next 40 to 50 years? What do I want America to stand for the next 2 generations? And the fact that you got people down in, South Beach who are still mad at what when Cuba ran a lot of their corrupt family members up out of there, then you're just not going to vote for me. Like, it's not like a big deal to me. Like, I make an appeal to you. I'm going to have 12 different things that I'm presenting to you. And you say, nope, that one is my deal breaker. I am so mad at the Castro regime and what it did to my parents and grandparents, legitimate frustrations if you got them, that I would like to see that island continue to suffer. I would like to see the rest of my people that are still over there suffer and be punished. I want the people of Cuba to be punished for the actions of its leadership. If that's your position, I'm not what you want anyway.
You're making an intelligent argument, but you're talking about Americans that have the attention span of microwave popcorn.
A lot of us do, but I sound like a broken record, but I'm talking to the America that I want to have. And so I feel like one of the big issues in America, why things are so watered down, is because we don't trust our fellow citizens with actual conversation and actual ideas. And so perhaps I'm wrong, because I know a lot of people want to operate on a very, very low frequency. But to me, a big reason for that is because that's where they've been pushed to. Right? When they try to have a real cogent idea or argument, it gets blown up or watered down. So they've given up. They're used to just being lied to every year. And I'm saying, no, we're going to do something different. To me, isn't that what a third party is supposed to be about? That we're coming with actual ideas. We're not doing what the Democrats do, where the Democrats, they're playing for ever since. Okay, so it actually goes all the way back to the beginning of Obama. Obama was selling hope Okay. And America was sick of what had been happening. And they said, man, we so desperate. Let's get a brother a chance. Okay. So they bought hope. Ever since Obama, the Democrats have had one position. We're not Republicans. That's their whole
Yep, that's their whole agenda. I'm like, okay.
Now what we gonna do for you?
The economy, we're not Republicans. Healthcare, we're not the anything else you want to ask?
All I got is we ain't them, right? And so that's like a whole political generation, 10, 15 years of people who have just been, so that's all I get. So I'm saying let's talk to them different. I'm saying third parties are always talking about how they're different. This is being different. I'm talking to you. I'm giving you actual things.
It's different. I'll give you that much.
Yeah. And there'll definitely be people against it. And that's fine. What I'm hoping for, because this party ideal to me is not liberal, it's not progressive, it's not conservative, right? It is truly America first. It is, what is it to be an American and what should that look like? Right? We're going to strip away the xenophobia and all of that. You are an American. What should that mean? Right? To be a citizen of one of the wealthiest nations on the planet.
Don't be wealthiest.
Well, that's what we say, but I'm not 100% sure because of the propaganda. So, but we up there. We up there. But we're at definitely at least one of. Certain things you should have as an American. You should be safe. Your kids should get a good education. You should have medical care, and you should be able to retire outside of poverty. Now, I'm not going to make you rich in your retirement if you didn't work for it. This is still a capitalist country. You could have done something to prepare for retirement, but let's say you didn't. You still should not starve because you got some bad breaks or you were lazy. Either one of the two, because either one can happen to you. You still shouldn't starve. You're an American. You shouldn't be living outdoors unless it's what you want to do. You shouldn't be homeless, right? Like, you may not get to own your home because you didn't work for it, but you definitely should have a roof over your head and a key that only you can turn so you can go in your place and be safe. That's just how I feel. And so that's kind of like the energy I'm coming at with the party. So like when you were saying no AIPAC money, it's not really a big deal to me from the standpoint of hear me out, Tracy. It's not a big deal to me because I want Citizens United gone. I want public financing. That's what I want. So you can't get AIPAC money under my process. You can't get nobody money.
There's two ways to do that. There's two ways to get rid of Citizens United.
Congress
or the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but the Supreme Court would only be the Supreme Court if somebody were to bring a new case and then the Supreme Court overturned their own decision.
Let's just say in this coming up general election in November, Democrats, they win the House, they win the Senate. And somehow Trump is forced to sign. Well, no, in my scenario, he vetoes it, but they send it back and they got enough votes to override his veto. It becomes a law. Somebody gonna take that to court. They not gonna just sit there and be like, well, we lost. Let's just. That's one way. Or the other way would be if a congressperson offered a law that said, hey, you can't publicly finance elections.
Well, the only way you're going to
be not publicly. I mean, your PACs can't.
No private funding. Yeah, we get rid of all the.
No private funding.
The way that you beat Citizens United is, like you said, one, you take it back to the Supreme Court and they come up with a decision that overturns their precedents. Maybe. but you need a different president who put in different Supreme Court justices. And I'm pretty sure, especially the way things are going right now, if they lose the House, you will see at least 2 Supreme Court justices retire immediately, and Trump put 2 more young ones in. Guarantee it. Like, that's what's going to happen. So
they're going to be more bat crazy.
They're going to be worse than the ones we got, right? So ultimately, the Supreme Court needs to be expanded. We are past the point of waiting for the natural adjustment.
You're agreeing with me, actually? I can't believe this.
We're not as far apart as you think, because one of the things about, at least I think, with my politics, is my politics already encompass yours. I'm just not as rigid on certain aspects, but that's where I think my politics, why I'm talking about the new third party, comes in, because there will be people on the right who will be like, yeah, for real, we need to fix that.
Here's what I would say in terms of the Supreme. I know we're talking about international politics, but since our courts are our courts, they have to decide things. There should be an odd number. Get rid of the lifetime appointments. And there should be enough of them where they're rotating. Like, it's not always the same people. Like, 6 of them get this, 7 of them get this case, and then a whole nother 7 get another case. It should be enough where you're like rotating them in, so they're not, so you don't get Clarence Thomas all the dang on time.
No, I agree. I would say that you would take the Supreme Court, and just to pick a number, we would take it to 13, just to pick a number. And then each Supreme Court case is presided over by 5 justices. Okay. And so the 5 justices are chosen at random, and no one justice can sit on more than 2 cases at one time. So now you've got, huh? Or no, I mean, they do it at the same time. They do number. Their staff does the research, and then they make a decision. So you can have more than one judges. Every other judge has to do more than one case. So, but you got 13 judges. You got a panel of 5. So that means you got at least 2 panels that can rotate that don't even overlap potentially. But you can have 3 cases running off of that kind of a setup, and it makes it next to impossible to rig the case, right? Because you don't know which 5 are going to sit. So now you got to bribe everybody. And we make laws to make it illegal, in my view, for everybody, president, Congress, and Supreme Court. You can't take any money outside of your salary. You can't take gifts over whatever dollar amount gets set. You can't take your family members can't get, hooked up, right? All that stuff goes in, and it becomes a federal crime if you violate those things, right? That's my take on it. And that would address the Supreme Court issue. But that would require a change candidate type of president. And it would take a Congress that has enough progressives and MAGAs, not real MAGA. I think MAGA is going to die out of this, but the America First Republicans, the ones that are going to come behind MAGA, you got to have enough progressives and American First jokers in there to make something like that happen. Because your traditional Republican and your traditional Democrat,
they're not for it. It makes too much sense, right?
Yeah, anything that touches their pockets, they're going to be like, nah, we ain't doing that. But at least America First Republicans, they're not true Republicans. These are people Trump pulled into politics that never wanted to be in politics. But they're very, very, very rigid on their, in my view, off-base ideologies. But they know they don't like corruption. So, and then on the progressive side, corruption is one of the things that we all say we don't like. So you got that. But you got to get these people in the Congress, right? Which means you can't have a bunch of MAGAs, which, like I said, I think they're going to kind of fade out. But what comes behind them can be very scary. Because I think what's going to come out of MAGA will be America First and some kind of weird Nazi type of thing. And those are going to, because the two personalities of MAGA are going to split because they won't have Trump to hold them together. So that's going to be an interesting thing. But I also think on the Democratic side, the progressives, the so-called progressives, because I don't think there's real ones, the so-called progressives and the corporate Democrats, they're going to continue to fight. And I think that the corporate Democrats are going to win as far as the party is concerned, because they're going to continue, as they've been doing, to pull disaffected Republicans and swell their ranks. Because if you notice, a lot of the never Trumpers, they just became corporate Democrats, right? So they're just over there for right now. But progressives, I think they're ultimately going to get pushed out. And that may be a great thing because the progressives will land in the third parties and force, like the Green Party, which I think is the most likely target, the Green Party to evolve and become a bona fide party that can push. So that's what I think as far as that goes.
But I think internationally, this is why I would make a terrible presidential candidate. I'm really good on domestic things. I can tell you what I would probably be America First candidate. That's just because it's where I live. Internationally, I would just be like, my thing is, you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. That's not a foreign policy, huh?
But the problem is, I'm gonna mess with you because that's the playground.
Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I led the statement with I would make a bad presidential candidate because I don't have enough depth in I don't have the depth that it takes to understand what's going on internationally. Like I understand some things like the travesty in the Sudan and the travesty in Gaza. That's just about it.
Yeah. But there's a lot of stuff undergirding that you have to have a grasp of. Yeah.
Yeah, I know this is probably my weak point. Like we can talk about domestic issues all day. I'm like, yep, right there, right there, right there. International, I'm like, well, if you don't mess with us, we'll mess with you.
Well, if you have some time, if you have some time, feel free to catch the first part of what I was saying, because that's where I talked about military as far as international.
Now, I do think our military, we need to stop going into these countries and overthrowing their government. They ain't gonna let the people who live there decide what government they want. If them people in that country want communism, you know what? I'm gonna say it, communism is not bad. I know people think communism, oh, Russia. No, communism, look up the real definition of communism. It's not what the US government has put forth to us. If those people want to have a monarchy, let them have a monarchy. Why we got to be around here ruling all these countries when we could be taking them same resources and be like, you know what? Our children aren't getting enough to eat. Let's send them home with a bag of food today. Nope, we got to overthrow this dictator and that one and this one and that one and that one and that one. And they don't want us there. We don't want to be there, but because we have this imperialism thing going on where we have to control everything, it's like it's making us a bigger target than what we should be. We should let those people decide what type of government they want. And like I said, if they don't mess with us, we don't mess with them. Because the minute they mess with us, I'm gonna mess with you back.
And that's largely where I would be coming from. Now, I mean, to me, all systems are good on paper. It's just when you try to put them into effect, right?
Right.
Yeah. So let me move to the next part. So immigration. So my immigration policy, short form anyway. So this is focused or centered mainly on like the process of immigration. So I say reform the green card process. Right now, the application to approval time for the green card is around 3 years. right? Just to get the green card. So that means you have to be in this country, undocumented, largely. I mean, there's some paperwork that says you're trying to get your green card, but that's you still here, you're still not in legal status, right?
Right.
So that's for 3 years you are not in legal status, you can't work nowhere. So it's like how that in and of itself is trying to make sure only certain type of people get to come here.
You mean white Europeans?
Pretty much, right? If you Australian, European, or if you're foreign, but you're any of the other foreign nations, but you wealthy, right? Okay, we're gonna pretend like we don't see you. Okay. Because that's how else you supposed to live here for 3 years with no job. Okay. So I'm saying we need to reduce that from the 3 years to a maximum of say like 2 years. Okay. I know that only sounds like a year, but it'll make sense in a minute. Streamline the application process, incorporate technology to make it easier for people to get through the process, and increase investment into like screening, oversight, processing, and security, right? So making sure that we're really flooding the immigration system with resources to make it easier to get through that first part. Now, it still needs to take about 2 years because that's how it is in most countries. But do that as far as the green card. And then in conjunction with that, you would also reform the naturalization process. And for those who don't know, the naturalization is just another way of saying getting your citizenship. So going from green card to U.S. citizen. So for that, that's an additional 3 to 5 years on top of the 3 years you are already dealing with. It can take you over 10 years to become a U.S. citizen when you're trying. Okay, now we got a lot of people been here for 20 years, 30 years. They're not trying, but people are trying, and it's still taking a decade. That's 10 years of anytime, at any moment, somebody can knock on your door and just be like, no, you got to go. That's ridiculous. So I say we need to reform that. And part of that, which I didn't write down here, but that's making sure we're hiring more immigration attorneys, making sure we're hiring more immigration judges that help people get through this process. It was so sad to me when I heard that because immigration is a civil matter, it's not a criminal matter, these people are not afforded like legal representation. So if you don't speak the language, so that's the first problem. And there's nothing that says we have to get you that you even can have a lawyer. Like if you can get one, great. Congratulations. We ain't gonna help you get one. And we're not gonna wait for you to get one either. So you got 8-year-olds trying to go through the system with nothing. That's just dumb. So if immigration is as important as we say it is, and I think it is important, because as you've heard me say before, I think being a citizen of the United States should mean something, right? Because I've been looking at moving to other countries. I'm completely open to deuces. And each country I'm looking at, they have rules. I can't just show up and say, I want to live here now. No.
Yeah.
It means something to be a citizen in somebody else's country. And there's a process you got to go through. And it does take time. And yes, there are shortcuts where if you have like a $250,000 investment that you're willing to make into their economy, they'll let you just kind of skate on through. Yeah, that does exist. But wealth has its privileges. You know, I think we need to minimize what some of those privileges are, but it is what it is. That's the way of the world. But for a person to come into a nation that brands itself as being a nation of immigrants and make it next to impossible for an immigrant to become a citizen, that is ridiculous. So I would be pushing to reform a lot of that. And I'm skipping forward here. Visas, right? You can get an education visa, you can get a work visa. You know, there's a number of different reasons you can get a visa to come to America. Well, that's paperwork and money. I don't have a problem with that. Where I have a problem is your visa expires and no one comes looking for you. No, your visa expires, you get out or you go to jail. Those are your options. You get out of here or you go to jail. That's how it is if you're in Panama, I think it's Panama, you got 6 months. At 6 months in a day, your butt better have got up out of here. Now you can go across the border for a day or two and bring your butt back. That's fine. But you got to get up out of here according to the terms of this visa. It should be the same for us. But we have a huge community of very highly paid, high net worth immigrants who their visa been expired. You know, no green card. I was here as a student.
Own houses, got cars.
You got it
got
all.
Your kids in college.
Right? But you were here on a student visa 30 years ago. No, man. You
probably married to an American white woman. Shut up, Tracy. Shut up, Tracy.
Some of them are like literally, especially in our Indian community, who are very much in our medical and our technology spaces, because they have so much money, no one looks at them. But they ain't got no paperwork. Or the paperwork expired. And I'm like, hey, get a lawyer, go through the process, be here legally. I want you here. I want all y'all here. I want all the immigrants here that want to be here. But you got to go through the process, and we owe it to you to fix the process so that you're not incentivized to avoid the process. That's part of the problem. We're making it so hard to go through the process that people are just like, forget it, I ain't gonna play with it. Come get me if you can find me. Well, if we want less people doing that part, hiding from the system, we got to fix the system, right? Not international, but that's similar to the criminal justice situation. You want less people in prison, and I know from a citizen standpoint, we want less people in prison. From the prison standpoint, they want more people in prison.
Yep, that's why they use test scores at third grade. Oh, I gotta stop.
That's why we do that. That's why we make sure that recidivism is so easy for prison. Like when you get out, nobody can give you a job. They want you to come back, right? They make sure that certain areas that are economically depressed stay that way until such time as it's dropped enough that commercial investment comes in, buys up everything for the low, runs the poor people out, makes it more expensive. Well, you push the poor people out, what happens with them? Some go to jail, some depress another area, and then the cycle repeats. And about every 40 to 50 years, that cycle repeats itself. Like if you look around where you live, the areas that are poor, within 40 years ago, it wasn't. If you go back at least 40 years, you might not have to go that far because it depends on where you are in the life cycle. But that area was not as poor as it is 40 years ago, right? Everything rotates in America, but that's a different discussion. That's domestic. So those were my points on international. For the party. Still ain't got a name. I do not have a name for the party. Still ain't got one. I can't even promise that I'll even make one. Because really, these ideas, I'd be cool if any of the existing third parties took them. And if I do join a third party, I'll be taking these with me to push them there anyway. So, yeah. But Tracy, what you got?
So immigration is a really touchy issue, especially especially propaganda. And I'm going to make my point and I'm going to go all over the place. So just kind of deal with me as you're dealing with me. My original point about America going into countries and messing them up so bad is why we have the border crisis that we have right now. We have to take, and I'm not saying maybe reparations, but some type of repayment system where we're saying, you know what, we messed your country up. We sorry, here's some money. That would be something that I would be open to. Now, of course, I think reparations to Black Americans should come first, but some type of, yeah, we messed up. We should never have invaded your country with fentanyl and drug cartels and all the things that we've done and overthrowing your leaders and making the country so bad you had no choice but to come to America. Um, we have to start finding companies. Well, that's my stupid meter. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry. Um, we have to punish corporations in this country that are paying, quote, under the table
For the illegal labor?
for illegal labor. They're literally paying people I call it under the table. They're not paying they're not paying them any type of living wage. So we gotta stop that. Then the H-1B visas, I think that's what they're called, where we're paying like doctors and IT people, we're giving them visas. We're just letting them okay, yeah, your visa expired 15 years ago, but oh well, because you earn enough money to pay into the system, we just let it go. We got to look at that. And another thing we have to look at is, and I'll ask this question, and maybe it's just my naivety. How do you have borders when the land is stolen? There's no part of America that was ours to begin with. We stole New York, we stole the South, we stole the Southwest, we stole Hawaii, we stole Alaska, I'm like, what part is ours? Trail of Tears. I can't think of a part of this country that actually belongs to this country. So for me, I'm like, have borders for what? The land is stolen. That's how I think. Now, in terms of a third party, I realize that's probably not going to work because most Americans going to be like, well, we got to have some borders. You got to have rules. Okay, fine. We definitely need more judges. Some type of, I don't want to call it legal aid or free legal services, that attorneys that actually specialize in helping people to become, I think we both can agree we want the path to citizenship. That's the ultimate goal. You need to become a citizen, not just, oh, well, my visa expired, or I never bothered to get one because I was on the run because I was on the run because my country got overflowed with drug cartels, so I had to run. Um, I think I think a lot of attitudes have to change though, because if I hear one more person, I'm talking about one more person that says they're taking our jobs. Really? First of all, what jobs are they taking? Because none are being created literally. Again, we have to punish these corporations that are low paying illegal immigrant, no, undocumented people, because they're not
Businesses,
illegal.
period. Don't have to be corporations.
Yeah,
Because
you got people that are
all this
going
went
mad
bad,
and yeah,
when all this went bad, we saw. I mean, they weren't even hiding it anymore. Like a lot of the worst of the worst, right? So I know this is not representative of them all, but it was enough of them. But they literally thought if you got rid of the illegal workers, then the black folks would come. Like we're somewhere sitting in a room waiting to come back to the field, right?
yeah. No, we're not coming back.
We ain't coming. We ain't coming. And they see that we ain't coming. You don't want to do it out. You don't want to work out there, and neither do we, right? But these were farms. These are, I mean, they're not poor people. Don't get me wrong. These are farms who probably make $1 million or more a year in revenue, but they hire undocumented labor. And they were the main ones after they saw their farms like dying all around them, saying, well, we need to get the people back. The people you voted to get rid of, them people, right? So I think that there should be a guest worker visa if there isn't one already. They should make that so, because like, let's say you live
I
in
believe
Mexico.
there is a guest worker visa.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's say
almost
you live
certain
in
there is.
Mexico. You don't want to be a citizen. You just come during our growing
Yeah.
season and then you go back. Cool. All right.
Yeah, you want to send some money home. You want to be a citizen. Let me reverse this. You want to be a citizen, but you want to send some money home too. That person should, if we do this guest visa work thing that you're talking about, at minimum, whatever the minimum wage in that state is, not the national minimum wage, because that's a joke and a half. Because can't nobody live off
the whole thing is that
720.
whole thing is a mess. But yeah, I think that there should be a marketable wage. I don't know if I'll call it a minimum wage or whatever, because one of my arguments against the minimum wage is that's what people will try to pay you. And my arguments for the minimum wage is at least that's what they'll pay you. But the way they get around the minimum wage is they hire you undocumented, or they hire you in a vulnerable state, because that's what they do to a lot of people who come out of prisons. They'll hire them, but they'll hire them under the table because they know they can't say nothing. They can't complain. If they make noise, then the employer will fabricate something and send them right back to jail, right? So we have a whole economy that happens below the surface that most people don't want to look at. But
yeah, and that's where I think that's where I think the issue is, right? And we screw up other countries then too. Why are you coming here? I don't know, because you messing up their country. Gee, let me just,
well, with that part,
know.
I mean, so a couple things you raised. So first, I'm going to touch on the border thing, right? So borders are all imaginary, right? So at some point, someone just decided to draw a line on the map and they said, this is where it is. Like you look at Africa, 52 or 54 countries, but all those lines were written by Europeans. Those aren't the lines written by the indigenous people of Africa, right?
Right.
But we can't renegotiate all of history. So you got borders, right? Every country's got borders. So fine, we got borders. My bigger concern is, like, this goes back to what I was saying, the whole foundation of this party. What does it mean to be an American? Right? So if I say that this is what it means to be an American, then you have to have a process to become American if you want to, or we need a process to keep your butt out if you're not. And that's just kind of what it is. So that's how I feel. Now, when we talk about countries that we've messed with all across Central and South America, those are the main ones. Like, we mess with everybody, but those are the main ones because we say that's in our backyard.
We got all this no money, but we got enough money to mess with people.
Well, that's because and we've kind of touched on this before, but there's different ways money moves in our government. So if it's for domestic spending, that has to be appropriated. But if it's for international, it has to be allocated. So a good way to look at it is, if we're trying to help somebody, that has to fit in the budget. But if we're trying to kill somebody, we'll pay for it later. That's pretty much that's how our government works. It's so sad. But as far as the countries we've messed with and everything like that, that's where I would look at it and say, and this is where I think you came on either at this point or just after, but this is where you have public/private ventures. So I'm going to use Venezuela again. So Venezuela has a lot of oil, but it's been kept a pretty poor country for a long time. And so they don't have the infrastructure to get the oil out the ground, not efficiently and effectively. So using Chevron as an example, it could be Shell, it could be BP, I don't care. But the government and that oil company goes into a partnership agreement with Venezuela's government. And we come in and we bring our technology and we bring our know-how and we bring all that good stuff. And we help bring their industry up. And they get, let's say, 70% of all of the proceeds, and America gets 10%, and Chevron gets 20%. And that's how it works until our contract ends. Like we might put it on like a 50-year contract or a 30-year contract. And then when it's over, it's all theirs. But now they have the infrastructure. It's very similar to how China moves, right? China will come to Venezuela and they'll be like, look, I'll tell you what, we will build all the infrastructure you need, bridges, roads, the refineries, all of that. But we own 90% of what comes out that ground for the next 50 years because that's how you're going to pay me back. Right? But in the bargain, that other 10%, guess what that does? I just pay for your schools, and that's helping to put some of your people in positions because we're going to train them to be able to run this stuff. And there you go. Right? It's a hostile takeover, but it's a hostile takeover that didn't involve guns, and we're going to leave. And when we leave, you still have the stuff we built. But America doesn't play that way. America comes in and says, I want all of this.
Yep. And whether you want it or whether you don't, we gonna take it.
Right. Like I'm asking, but I'm telling.
No, we tell them. We don't even bother with the ask.
Well, the old us kind of ask.
Ask the people of Alaska. Everybody look up how Alaska became a state. You're gonna be like, what?
That was a trade with Russia, wasn't it?
Or Hawaii. Hawaii especially. That's
Hawaii
the one.
was just like, yo, we were fighting with Spain, and we talked, me and Spain, we talked, and we decided that you belong to us now.
Yeah, like didn't give the people that who cares what you want?
But that's how the Europeans move. Let's just be real about it. That's how the Europeans move. Because look at what America and Israel did to Gaza. America negotiated with Israel for Gaza. Gaza wasn't even invited. What is this?
What we're doing right now, international.
Yeah,
we
doing
said
that with,
there was.
Well, they're talking to Iran because they have to, but it's only because Iran is like Cuba that Iran is like, nah, but you're not gonna keep messing with Lebanon. So,
right, and then have Lebanon. I'll be talking about that tomorrow on my show, by the way. Just a plug, because I'm just like, what? It did what?
Yeah. But yeah, so no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like international, I just feel like I don't bring enough to the table to talk. Like I feel like, okay, somebody else say something because I'm like, oh, like I said, domestic, I can go top to bottom, left to right, up to down. I can move within there. But international, okay, because then you got to start talking about trade deals, peace treaties, climate control. Those things, I'm like, I know kind of what I want, but how to get there, I don't know.
But see, that's the beauty of this, putting together your party platform or your party ideal, because you don't have to be all of these things. The party needs to be such that different personalities with different approaches can all come in and be like, I agree with this, but here's how I would go about doing it. Right. And now and in my view, the whole mission for the next 10 years, the entire mission is getting as deep into Congress and into state offices as possible. That's the whole mission. Don't care nothing about the presidency. Get to where the money moves, get to where the power moves. Because if we want to get rid of Citizens United, we got to have people in there to make that happen. If we want to curb what kind of crazy justices get into the Supreme Court, you got to have people in Congress to make that happen. If you want to fix gerrymandering in the states, then you got to get into the state legislatures so that they can change the lines that happen at the census for the House of Representatives up in the federal Congress, right? So go there. But I think that the fascination that people often have with the presidency is a distraction that serves no one. Right?
Well, no, it is a distraction. I'll agree with you, but it's an intentional one, right? Because if you just talk to Joe Public or John Public or Jane Public, that's the only race that our corporate mainstream media, that's what I call them now, they're already talking
Yeah,
about
that was
who's.
Trump's phrase. Congratulations, you took Trump's phrase.
I know, it's a perfect because they're so. I'm like, y'all so terrible. You have people talking about who's going to run in 2028, and we're not even halfway through 2026.
But the thing, though, Tracy, and granted, now what you just pointed out has been a problem with mainstream media for its entire time, because, like you said, Americans are we focus on what is easiest to grasp,
And that's the
and
easiest office. It's every 4 years. You know, we
it's
got
the
to do it.
president.
Right. It's the president. Not thinking, oh, wait a minute. It's actually the mayor's race that I need to be paying attention to because that mayor is going to have more to say about what's happening to me than that president.
And
But
it's
we
the
don't think
Congress that
like
matters,
this.
because it honestly doesn't matter who the president is. If Congress doesn't agree with him, nothing happens.
Or if
Except
you
for
have a
international. They
Congress,
can do international
right,
things.
unless you got a Congress like we got now that'll just say to whatever you say,
We
Master
don't even have a
President.
Congress. Like, literally, our Congress is always on vacation. And
They do. They don't even go to work 6 months out the year. Like, really?
I mean, it was bad before. It's terrible now, because now Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, he'll just shut it down because he don't know what else to do, right? Because Trump will say the most important letter in the alphabet is C, and then Mike will come out there and be like, C is the only letter. We got to focus on C. C is everything. And then Trump will come out there and say, so the letter P is easily the most important letter in the alphabet, and C is the worst one. Then Mike got to come out and be like, well, I meant P. You think I said C, but I said
Yeah,
P.
we all heard you say, but
Right?
That's not what I was saying.
And
It
then
was
Trump
P.
come back around and he'd be like, 4 is the best letter in the alphabet. And Mike will be like, man, forget it. We're going on vacation. That's the government.
Which is why we need a rule that says if you're not in session, you don't get paid. Period.
A lot of the states are like
Period.
that. I agree with that.
Like, you know what? You take a vacation. Go ahead. You're not getting a paycheck. How about that?
And then, since we're wrapping up, this is just my little momentary gripe. I'm hearing a lot of, because now we're getting really close to the election cycle. So now I'm starting to see Democratic hopefuls poking their heads up, like the ones who want to like test the waters for 2028. And now they're starting to like have little moments in these different podcasts and stuff just to see how they're received. And I see what they're doing. They do it every time. I don't like it. It's disgusting every time they do it. But it's like, one, they still don't give us a governing strategy. The same thing I say about third parties. Same thing I say about Democrats. What's your governing strategy? What are you literally going to do for people? Not what you feel would be nice, but what are you going to do? Like, what do you stand for and are going to push for? And the Democrats still won't do it. They will not do it. And then what was the guy who was just on? Oh, man. I don't know, but he got on there. I was listening to him yesterday, and he's out there just Ro Khanna, I think. Might be Ro Khanna, or it might be a different guy it's a different guy. It wasn't Ro. But they got there and they're talking about how they did this to oppose the Republicans, or they did that to oppose the Republicans. But I'm like, why aren't you in Washington? Because the Democrats,
well, they're on break now. He can't be in Washington.
They are, but here's where I'm coming from, though, right? Mike is the Speaker of the House,
right?
And he called for yet another break because he doesn't want to be cornered and forced on a vote about the war or anything like that. So he's just like, hey, y'all, let's get out of here, right? Fine. He's the Speaker of the House, so you can't be in session unless you can meet quorum, and he controls that to a large extent. I get it. But Democrats, he's not your leader. Every last one of y'all should be in Washington every morning at 7:30 a.m. Y'all should walk y'all happy butts up there, sit on the front steps, and when the reporters come by and say, we're waiting to go back in to do our job.
See what you're saying? That's called common sense. And that's what frustrates me. People always say, why you leave the Democratic Party? Yeah. Y'all know I go in hard on the Democrat Party. I never make it a softball. I criticize them up and down. And it's because of this performative, let's do theatrics and let's do, like, are you going to do something?
What I'm saying is performative, though, because they don't have any power. They don't have any power. But the least you can do is be oppositional. Just do that, right? Like when the Republicans don't have power, you wouldn't even know they don't have power. Because they make sure you hear them. They make sure of it. Democrats should do the same thing. Off-brand Obama, AKA Hakeem Jeffries, he should be in Washington on C-SPAN, MS Now, anywhere you want to go, boring the public, he should be there, right? Singing his new whatever rhyme he has for the day. He should be doing it. All their firebrands that they have left, they should have them out there. Pete Buttigieg just had I didn't watch it, but apparently he had a good interview with a dude, tried to play some word game with him. And why these people haven't learned? One of the smartest people in the game right now is Pete Buttigieg. Don't get out there playing word games with him. Don't do it. The dude's smart. I don't really like him too much, but the guy is smart.
Yeah, I will say he's intelligent. I will give him that.
Like, you don't come to him talking out your butt because he's going to run circles around you, right? But then you got somebody like Gavin Newsom. He's going to come out and he's going to be as vanilla as he can possibly be because he knows whatever he may or may not truly believe as an individual, he knows the way for him to win is to be boring. That's his win.
And it doesn't help that he's not ugly.
Well, he's a handsome man. He's got money. Yep. He's the governor of California. And when he wants to, he can be very impressive when he's speaking to you. He's like Bill Clinton now. Like he's the new Bill Clinton. But the problem is he's not going to be a change agent. So even if the Democrats run him in 2028.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt. You think Pete Buttigieg is a change agent?
No, I don't. I don't think he. But I don't think.
I got to say, wait a minute.
That Pete Buttigieg has a chance of winning. So.
Well, yeah, we know why.
Right. So that's a different discussion. Like I think that Pete Buttigieg is one of your better speakers. Like if you were really an intelligent leader, Schumer, if you were really an intelligent leader, Jeffries, you would get people like Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders, like you would get all of them and you would have them in front of a microphone all day, every day. Even when they saying stuff that you don't personally agree with, you know that they are the energy of your party and that there's like nobody on the Republican side that can match them. Like there's nobody who can sit up there in front of AOC and have a real conversation and she not make them look stupid. You can't do it. Bernie, you already know what Bernie's going to say because he's been saying the same thing for 50 years. But he's going to say it well. So if you put somebody in front of him, he's going to make them look foolish too. So like, why aren't they do that, right? The reason why they don't is because it's all about the money. And they just want to get the donors. And the donors don't care about all that.
You just literally said it. This is a party that purposely ignores their own base. Every time somebody asks me, why did you leave the Democrat? Because they ignore their own base. Not Like they just passed a resolution that said basically we're going to take AIPAC money. Now keep in mind this: the majority of Democrats, not me, because I'm not a Democrat. This is not me. This is Democratic people. These are people that will vote Democrat. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you
60%
do.
or something like that. They're like, we
Yeah,
don't know.
said we don't want AIPAC money. You know what they said? We do. Where it at? Write that check.
Because that's where the money is, right? So that's where it comes back to the voters. If you're serious about this, then
Yes, you gotta vote them people out. You
exactly.
stop voting for these people. That's exactly. I say this.
But I do think that your scope has to be broader than AIPAC though, because
there's AIPAC, Big Pharma, Big Tech,
J Street, you got all the people. But what I'm saying, I think that if where I'm not, the hill I'm not going to die on, me personally, the hill I'm not going to die on is PAC money. Not right now. That, to me, the only way you're going to get away from PAC money, like we talked about a moment ago, is you have to be able to change the law, right? We have to get.
To do that?
The only way who's going to do it is you got to get people in there to vote it out.
I'm going to say something about somebody who I never thought I would defend in 10 million years, Matt Gaetz. Y'all know.
There's no way in the world I'd ever defend him on anything. He could tell me the sky is blue and I still wouldn't defend him.
On this one issue, let me finish. This one issue, he is the only Republican congressperson. Him and AOC co-sponsored a bill that would make it illegal for politicians to take PAC money. They co-sponsored. AOC co-sponsored. Matt Gaetz. Guess how many signatures they didn't get to bring that to a past committee vote?
All the rest of
because yeah, well, now again, I Matt Gaetz is probably one of my least favorite, probably my least. I mean, scum. But on this one issue, there's one I'm willing to give him. Well, yeah, he's right about that.
Matt Gaetz can be on the right side of an issue, and I still don't like him. Now, the fact that I don't like you and the fact that I will not give you any credit whatsoever should have zero impact on what you do the right thing. It's kind of like when we used to talk years ago when we were talking about like allies and stuff like that. And it's like, look, if you're a white ally, if you're put off by the fact that I'm not going to pat you on the back and shake your hand for being an ally, then you're not really an ally, because who am I? Right? You're supposed to be focused on your mission. You're supposed to believe in what you're doing. And if you believe in what you're doing and you're doing it for the right reasons, it doesn't matter if I support you, right? Do what's right because it's right. So Matt Gaetz can do something right because it's right, but he's a loathsome, horrid creature. So he ain't getting no credit from me. He can just be another signature on the map. That's all it's going to be. But that goes to what I said earlier, though.
Yeah,
about how America First and progressives, if you can get more than that, these people are not, right? They do not mix. But when it comes to corruption, both of them don't like it.
And I think both sides don't want money in politics.
Right. So that's where you can get an America First cat, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, right? You can get them, and you can get an AOC and who's the other
one?
Ro Khanna. You can get these four people who would fight on everything. But on this, we agree. We agree for different reasons, but we agree. So get more of these people in there, and that's how you will get. You won't get universal health care out of those two groups, but you will get tax reform. You will get defense spending changes. You'll get all these different things. You'll get the public funding, right? Get rid of Citizens United. Those two groups will ride with you on those. But as soon as you say universal health care, now you're going to go right back into where, means testing and racial issues and all this other stuff. But where you can get together and make something happen, do that. But that's how you change Citizens United. You don't change Citizens United by getting all progressives in there to where the Democrats have 60% of the seats, because it's not mathematically going to happen, not in this current climate. Like, we are way too polarized, right? So get people who line up on the issues you believe in, get them in there, and then don't ever think your job is done. Keep pushing, keep replacing people. Because, like, for me, for the Democrats, I'm like, senators. I'm like, we need to flood the zone with senators as best we can. I heard from somewhere, like, even if the Democrats ran the table, they still wouldn't have as many seats as you think, because it's just that many on the map that'll be flipping this go around. But I'm like, run as many Democrats in there as you can, and then once you've done that, start replacing them. Because on my short list of get the hell up out of here is Chuck Schumer, Cory Booker. Both of them need to get out of my face. But for now, let's just get more Democrats in there.
I'm going to say something positive about, boy, I'm just breaking all my rules today. Cory Booker hasn't been there relatively, such as old boy from Iowa that's been in since I was 7.
But that's House. Is he House?
No, he's a senator. He's a United States senator. Been there since I was 7.
Was it Grassley?
7.
Because Grassley's like 90-something years old.
Yeah, Chuck Grassley from the state of Iowa. Been there since 1981. Are you kidding me, sir? Are you kidding me? But this is something, I know this ain't even a topic, but the voters, y'all need to step y'all game up. Stop electing people that have been here since I've been 7. Do you know Motown 25 wasn't he now? We Are the World wasn't out. The San Francisco 49ers had just come off of winning a Super Bowl. Are you serious?
When this man was born, okay? When this man was born,
and he wasn't even invented.
The Great Depression had just happened. He was born in 1933.
And I don't care if to me, you got 12 years. If you can't do nothing in them 12 years, bye. What you there for? He was there 7. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I hadn't even entered in. I was in like what? So it's kindergarten 5, first grade. I was in the second grade. The second grade. Are you kidding me, America? We got to put Jill Clyburn on that list. Nancy Pelosi finally is retiring. Maxine Waters, she's running again. Like, girl, what you running for?
Because the people keep putting them in there.
And that's what like the voters. We got to step up. Stop sending back these people.
It's like when people talk about term limits.
Yeah.
And when people talk about term limits, I agree. I'm all for term limits. You've already heard me talk on that. But honestly, term limits shouldn't matter. Supreme Court should matter. But term limits really shouldn't matter, because why are we voting them back in there?
That's the only name we know. They had a fish fry, and
the party decided who's allowed on the ticket.
And the party decided, well, this is who we want. He'll do what we say we want. There's a whole system. If you look at the system, where this is why I think we actually need third parties. There's a lot of politics in politics. Yeah, duh. But if you look at Jim Clyburn's race, where he literally worked with Republicans to draw a district that would be favorable for just himself.
Yeah.
What did you forget that you're representing the people of South Carolina, or is this like some far off? But he couldn't get to that position unless he got that corporate money, that PAC money that he gets.
He's good at raising money, so he gets to stay. That's all there is to it.
And he shut out. What's his name?
That young guy.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I wouldn't have voted for him.
You would have voted for, if it was him and Clyburn, you're going to tell me you vote for Clyburn.
I don't know. That's a hard one.
You're gonna seriously sit here and tell me you would vote for Clyburn under any? You know what? Give it to the young guy. Let him run. See what's gonna do.
See,
Oh, yeah.
I think that is a terrible approach to politics. Now I don't think Clyburn should be there. I agree, but he's not causing harm. He's just wasting space. So
He actually
if we're
is
going to
causing harm.
replace him with something worth something.
But you gotta get now. I say fresh ideas, bring in some fresh blood, some fresh ideas.
All fresh ideas ain't good ideas.
Well, yeah, obviously you don't want a bad idea, but I'm like between Marcel Dixon, that's his name.
That was his name. Yeah,
Between him
Marcel.
and Clyburn, if I was in South Carolina, there is no way, absolutely positively ain't gonna be no way. No, 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 no.
Yeah, I mean it's cool, but like my politics move different. So, um, Clyburn and most of the Congressional Black Caucus are old gatekeepers, and
That don't want to give up power.
right. But I before I will start going after black old gatekeepers, I'm more interested in taking power away from racist, terrible Republicans. So I'd rather have somebody who's not worth much and get rid of my enemy than focusing on cleaning up my team first. No, no. I want all the soldiers I can have, even if they ain't doing nothing but standing in the corner singing songs. We got to get rid of that. Like when people fuss at the Democrats, like people fuss at the Democrats, and they're like, Democrats ain't doing nothing. They ain't doing nothing. Ah, they're terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible. And I'm like, but the Democrats were 48 out of 100 votes. That means there's 52 Republicans who all got together to hurt you. But you want me to focus on the 48. I got 52 that are taking away rights from women. 52 that are undoing the Civil Rights Act. 52 that took away the different things with like tax credits and stuff. You want me to be mad at these 2 or 3 Democrats that crossed over or are just plain pathetic but not say nothing about these jokers?
I think you can do both at the same
But
time.
but we don't. Like when I listen to you and I listen to other people who come down on the Democrats, rightfully so, Democrats are terrible, but y'all come down on the Democrats, I can listen to the entire special, the entire discussion, and y'all will say zero about the people who are actually hurting.
To people like me, this is just my view. You probably don't disagree with it, but oh well, that's my opinion, and I got a right to it. The Republican Party, they're like, I don't have anything invested in them. Let me finish my whole thing. Hold on, let me finish my whole thing. When I was coming up in the political world, I was a strong Democrat. You could not talk me. I was voting blue. I was the vote blue no matter who. If they had a D, that's where I was going. And then they started, really what started with me was y'all screwed Bernie twice. Y'all know y'all was wrong. For me, that was kind of like my eye opening, like, oh, okay. And then I started to see how money played an influence. I was more invested in the Democratic Party. I could have cared less about. I I was never concerned with. Maybe I should have been, but I wasn't concerned with the Republican Party because I never had anything. I wasn't a Republican person. I never voted Republican. I never put my time. I never put my energy. You put my energy. I put my time, my energy, my everything. And then you do that to me? Nah, bro, what you doing?
I get it, but my still will come back to if you have, 5 people show up to jump you, and it's you and two of your friends, and your two friends take off running, and then 5 beat the stew out of you gonna be more mad at your two friends who ran away than the 5 who beat the stew out of you?
I get what you're saying, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying that I took time out of my schedule.
Hey, Tracy, in my analogy, these are your friends. You hang out with them, you spend time with them, you're invested in them, you know their family, you know their children, you know all of that. But you still know if they had stayed, you still would have got your butt kicked. And then if they ran, you still got your butt kicked. And you should be mad at them because how dare they run off and leave you to catch that whooping all by yourself. But the fact remains, if those 5 people had not jumped you, it wouldn't matter. But you are more angry at the ones who failed you than the ones who assaulted you.
Because they should have been with me the whole time.
But they still would have got their butt kicked too. But the other people are the ones who hurt you.
Okay, so you're in your example. I know those 5 people are going to try to kick me down and beat me up.
Yes.
Okay, they're coming. So I'm taking my 4 with me. Don't be mad at the 4. I already know the 5 was coming. I already knew the 5 was coming. I already knew. Okay, here they come.
But how are you more angry?
Was on my side.
But and remember, it's your 2 friends, so it was going to be a 3 versus 5. You still probably was going to lose.
3 versus 5. I thought it was 5 on 5.
No. You were outnumbered. But
that means they should have stayed more because you know I'm outnumbered.
So they can get beat up too.
Oh, well.
And that's why I'm saying yes. So first of all, that shows you are not concerned for your friend's safety. That also said, no. Hear me out. You just said, oh, well. So that means you are not concerned about your friend's safety. You're more concerned that if you have to suffer, they suffer too. And even given that, you're less angry at the 5 people who caused you harm than you are at the ones who deserted you to get hurt by yourself.
All I'm saying is I know the 5 are coming. I know they're coming. Nothing's going to stop them from coming.
It doesn't matter. Why do those 5 could come up on you and not do anything? Why didn't they? Why did they choose to still attack you?
No, because that says, well, just vote Democrat and hope they do right. No.
You know me better than that, Tracy. And everything I've ever said has always been far more layered than that. What I'm saying, though, is be mad at the right ones more, right? Like, be mad at the ones who failed you because they failed, right? They ran off and left you. That's why I'm more where you are. I'm like, yo, I've always been saying I don't like the Democrats. Now I'm like, let's replace them jokers, right? That's where I'm at now. Okay. But I will still always have more fire for the Republicans who are actively hurting people. I will always blame the person who is causing the most harm more than the person who failed to stop it. Because the person who failed to stop it had to overcome fear and everything else and decide that they were going to go and fight uphill against a fight that they may not win. But the people who are attacking you, they are choosing to cause harm. That should always be more important. It should always be more important. Like, we aren't mad at, generally speaking, I don't know, because I don't know how different people sit, but people aren't condemning Iran for bombing Israel right now because Israel attacked Iran. But they are criticizing Iran for bombing Qatar and a couple other places, but they kind of understand. If not for America and Israel attacking Iran, nobody would be bombing Israel. Strait of Hormuz would be open. Right? So it's like, be mad at the right people. I don't get it. I don't get it.
We on 2 different wavelengths because I'm still madder at I'm angry at both, but like I said, I have there's no vested interest for me in the Republican Party. I know the party's not for me. I already know they told me they don't like me. I told them, hey, I don't like you neither. We just keep it moving.
But they're not going to just keep it moving. They're going to hurt you. They want to hurt you. They're trying to take away your Medicaid. They're trying to take away housing. They're trying to take away. Now they're trying to go after Medicare. Like they
And
are.
Joe Biden didn't cut Medicaid.
When did Joe Biden cut Medicaid?
Let me get you the article.
Yeah.
This is what I was asking when Senator.
Because if you're talking about when he was cutting the COVID funding that was set to go towards Medicaid, that's not the same as cutting Medicaid.
I'll put this in a link.
And let's not play Republican tactics. Let's not do, well, what about Obama? What about Biden? I'm talking about.
Well, no, I wouldn't go. I mean, Obama, that's going too far back.
It's kind of going too far back to go with Biden because right now, this is what's happening.
I mean, we know Trump is taking, I mean, his cuts weren't as severe. I'm trying to find that article.
His cuts to Medicaid weren't as severe?
No. Trump's Medicaid's cuts were severe. They were more severe. I'm saying the small cuts that Biden made were not as nearly as severe as what Trump did. Trump just said, get rid of the whole dang on thing, cut it out, I don't care.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Biden's administration, just because we're doing this parallel between the two presidents, Biden's administration is what got insulin costs way down, right? Under $20.
Okay, I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying
Trump got rid of that.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying this is what really makes me mad about Democrats. And I'm gonna say, yeah, but you said you're not a Democrat, so I'm not talking. I'm talking to
I mean, you can say I am because that's where I still vote.
Because we're talking, first of all, I'm talking about two-term presidents. I'm not talking about Joe Biden. He was only a one-term president. I'm only talking about two. I'm not talking about Father Bush, and I'm not talking about Joe Biden. Those were one-term presidents.
So can you really talk about Trump then? Because his has got split. He effectively is a single term. But he's still effectively single term. He didn't get to have the continuation. So it's not like his policy.
But he's going to serve 2 terms, though. He can't serve a third legally. He cannot be president.
What I'm saying, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this statement I'm about to make is only talking about 2-term presidents. So I'm talking Clinton, Bush, Obama. Those are the 3 I'm talking about. All 3 of those presidents, and Trump, because I got to put it. All 3 of those presidents, or all 4, have bombed countries without congressional approval.
Yeah, that's what America does. America's been at war longer than it's been at peace.
Is the outrage, and trust me, there should be outrage that Trump is bombing Iran. That country literally did nothing to us. Literally did nothing to us. We shouldn't even be there. We had an agreement. One of the few things that Obama did do right was get an agreement with Iran that they would not produce nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. That I will give him all day, every day, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Trump, because Obama lives free in his brain, said, oh, no, we're going to just cut it, and now accuse them of having weapons. But anyway, the outrage that these Democratic politicians, I'm like, well, where was y'all at? Where was y'all at? And I think that's...
Yeah, I agree. The Democrats, except for the ones that we know are vocally against it, but the leadership, the Democratic leadership, are not opposed to this war.
No, they're for it.
They all support Israeli politics for whatever the reasons, whether it be money or ideology, either one, they support, whatever Israel does. So, yeah, cool. I'm with you there. Now, what about the Republicans?
I'm going to give the Republicans, oh boy, I'm just kicking myself in the foot today, but oh well, I'll go ahead and do it. I'm right there. They know how to stay on message.
That's not my question, though. I'm like,
okay. Let me get to where I'm getting at. Trust me, I'm gonna get to where you're getting at. They know how to, they could hate each other. I mean, literally, I want to see you dead. But the front that they present to the public, oh, they on one accord. They
So
will
as
get.
long as they're in lockstep, even if they're wrong, that's better.
No, I didn't say it was better. I'm just saying what they do.
But you're pointing it out like it's a virtue. Like if all
No,
the
I'm not
Democrats
saying
got
it's a
behind
virtue.
Israel, would
I
that be
never said
better?
it was a virtue. I'm saying they know how to stay on brand. They know how to take one message
What's the value
and
of that?
present it.
What's the value of that?
Because that's what, unfortunately, that's what Americans pay attention to. This is what
You
third
are
parties.
presenting it as a virtue.
I'm not saying what the Republicans are saying is a virtue. Obviously, the
No,
Republicans
I'm
are
not saying you're
racist,
saying it's right. I'm
misogynistic.
not saying you're saying it's right, but I'm saying you're saying tactically that is preferable.
I'm saying it's tactical because this is what I'm saying, and this is where I'm going to tie it to third parties. Third parties, what we do is we got the libertarians, the Greens, the socialists. We have no unifying message, but Democrats, Republican, bad. That's all we got. I mean, that's literally all we have. We don't stay on brand. We got one sect of the left, and because third parties normally come from the left, that will say, "Hey, let's let children smoke marijuana." I don't have a problem with it. And then you'll have a whole nother sect of the left or the third parties that will say, you know what? No, we need charter schools so we can stop this smoking. I don't know how charter schools stop children from smoking marijuana, but let's just say it does. There's no unifying message. That's what I'm saying that the Republicans they do well. I didn't say I like what they were
But
saying. I'm
it's like
saying
you're
that they
comparing apples and oranges, though, because you can compare Republicans to Democrats because it's a uniparty and a uniparty, right? Like they're like solid this
but
thing.
even the Democrats they'll have arguments publicly. They don't all come together.
They don't. But so what I was saying though is like third parties, there's a whole bunch of third parties, and they're all jockeying for position, like as a party. Like they're not the third party, they're third parties, right? So they're all saying what they're saying. But then you got the Democratic Party. One of the reasons why they can't stay on message, there's a couple reasons, in my opinion. The main reason they can't stay on message is because they're smarter than the Republicans. And the reason why I say that is because you can't give the Democratic Party a simple message and everybody be like, yeah, we can run with that. You can't do it. Too many have tried. Doesn't work, right? Republicans on the other side, because they're very much driven by identity, just give them something to be mad at. If you give them something to be mad at, they can rock with you. So if you can take a racial argument and you'll get about 40-50% of them, right? There's no issue on the Democratic side that'll give you 40 to 50%. Like it just won't happen. Because if you say universal health care, you're going to have the corporate Democrats being like, well, nope, that's going to mess with the stock market.
No, I would disagree. Women's autonomy, I would think women's autonomy would rank high up there.
It should, but I can't
think of a Democrat that's ever came out and said, no, we should. I
don't think they'll ever say anything against it, but will they work for it?
No, they won't, because they haven't.
So it's like
that's what when I say that the Republicans know how to stay on message, they can take the stupidest thing, critical race theory.
Because it feeds race.
Here's another one. Men in women's restrooms. I literally don't care. When I go to a public restroom, and that's very rare because public restrooms are nasty. They nasty, nasty, nasty. I literally don't care who's in the stall next. My job is get in there, do my business, take care of that, go wash my hands, get out. I'm trying to get in and out of that place. I don't care who's in the stall next to me.
Republicans literally feed on fear.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They know how to. That's what I wish third parties would learn how to do, is have a unifying, except for, no, not that message. That's an obviously dumb message. But I'm saying Take something like you need more money in your pocket. There's a message. There's something. That's something everybody can get. Everybody about them dollar bills in their pocket. You need more money in your pocket. Instead of Trump bad. We know Trump is bad. Tell me something else.
And that's why what I've been sharing as far as my third party vision, that's what I'm trying to do. Now, it's not going to get everybody. And I don't want to get everybody because there's some people I don't want to have anything to do with. But I believe that it's positioned in such a way that it will capture a sufficient cross section of third party, liberals, progressives, corporatists, conservatives, not very many conservatives, but the ones who were more practical, right? Your never Trumper type conservatives could probably rock with a lot of what I'm saying. But then there's going to be things they don't agree with. Because when we get into like gun control, my view on gun control probably isn't very appetizing to far left people, and it's not going to be very appetizing to far right people because I'm a gun owner. I don't have any problem with people having guns. My problem is what kind of guns are we having here, and why are we having certain type of guns in circulation? Like that's where you start having issues with me. And how do we start to curb some of those things? And I don't think the way to curb them is to take them from people. I think
I don't think.
there's other ways to deal with it.
I think I lean more toward guns. I hate guns. I don't like them. I'm more in the Beto O'Rourke type of vein. But I realize that's unrealistic. People gonna have guns. We live in a country where there's more guns than people. So I just gotta suck it up, buttercup, and be like, oh well, it is what it is. I don't like guns. I think they're terrible. I think they should be outlawed. That me. I'm also against the legalization of marijuana, and everybody like hey, I'm not saying that people should go to prison for it, but legalization for me that's a step too far. That doesn't mean I will never ever listen to that argument, but it just means that I'm not where that other leftist is on that issue.
And personally, I think that is perfectly fine. And I think that's where a lot of times people, especially in the third party space, they get in their own way because they won't allow for something short of pure, right? Like if
that I agree with because we are
if you're not like 90+% with me, then you're my enemy, right? In many cases, if you're not 100%, right, and then that 100% moves. Like one day AOC is the best, and the next she's a corporate plant. One day Bernie Sanders is the best, and the next he's gatekeeping. Well, it's like, guys, slow down. Everybody can't be perfect. You're not even perfect. How are you expecting these people to be perfect? But I think that is definitely a struggle on the left. But I think that's also, and I'll leave it at this, that's also why I keep saying in the third party space, we need to have a lot of arguments and a lot of fights so that those who, because I think a lot of people don't even know what's all out there to choose from. So if you can get them really bumping heads and trying to speak on their platforms and why they actually believe that they're the best one, then you may find people be like, oh, okay, yeah, I could rock with that. Right. And then you can consolidate your parties. And then maybe you only have 2 or 3. I mean, you might have all the third parties in the world, like they just gonna be there, but you'll have like 2 that are really competitive. And those are the ones who can get the votes and get the signatures and get the energy to get on stage and break through. Well, I'm not Trump. I love Trump, but I'm not Trump. Like that's like the whole argument that you get now.
Yeah, which is going to make 2028 very interesting.
It is. It is because I think that I think 2028. I don't think the American public is matured. I think they're still very, very, very immature, and people are going to do exactly what they did last election. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yep, sit at home, be like, I'm tired. I'm not going.
Yeah, they didn't say exactly what I wanted to hear, so I'm going to do exactly what I did last time, and that, I mean, that's the nation that we live in, and more people around the world are going to die because of America's voting behavior. And more people in America are going to die because of America's voting behavior. And I guess that's just what it has to be. But on that bright note,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Rainbows and clap.
you
Rainbows.
know, rainbows and sunshine, that be me. Tracy, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
Tracy Media 74 on YouTube. And not to plug my own show, but to plug my own show tomorrow, the Sunday show. I think that I did a really good. Well, the Easter special was the Easter special, but the week before the Easter special, where I had like, this is what I think third parties need to. Think I did pretty good with some of the suggestions. I'm going to expand on those because I'm about real tired of the left just acting like Christians don't exist. I don't know why we get this little thing in our head. We're open to like every religion in the world. But don't say you're a Christian.
Do
It's
you
like, oh,
really want, I'm sorry, Tracy, do you really want us to focus on the Christians?
well, that's because that's what I am. I don't practice other
I'm not
religions.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you really
I'm
want us
not
to listen
saying
to what
focus,
y'all
but I'm
doing.
saying do what you do what more than what you're doing now, which is nothing.
Okay, because
Like
I'll
you're
be
literally
happy.
doing. We literally are doing nothing, Green
I
Party.
agree. Oh,
And
I'm
then you
sorry.
go,
Christians ain't doing nothing either except for voting for Trump.
exactly. And why? Because he speaks their, I'm gonna shut up.
He don't speak their
He,
language. Well, he does speak the language of hatred and division, which a lot of Christians
yes,
fall into,
yeah,
but
too. Yes,
he doesn't speak
exactly.
actual Christianity.
Yeah,
Um,
we
yeah,
talking about just Christianity title, not actual Christians. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna expand on that because I'm like, y'all, this is where we are failing. You do a good job on respecting other religions, but I got to know, and I'm gonna talk about this tomorrow. I gotta know, where is it coming from? It's like it's something in you, and I'm not getting it. I don't
I can tell you where
understand.
it's coming from in my view because I probably won't be able to. I don't know. I might be able to tune in tomorrow. We'll see. I'll try. But a lot of it is um, Christian. Like I had this conversation with my dad years ago. Christianity is way too convenient. Okay, it's a identity without substance. So what happens is when things are going the way I think Christianity should go, then yeah, everything's fine. But when someone does something that doesn't shine very well on Christianity, well, then they're not real Christians. And so it's easy to jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out. So what you end up with is your identity gets created for you. Because like right now, um, in my view, the fake Christians are masquerading as the only true Christians. And so, what you're watching are Christians and Jewish people attacking Muslim people, right? And we're listening to them put it in the terms of a holy war and a holy crusade. And the ones loudest are the ones proclaiming themselves to be Christians.
Yep, they
Now,
got the title, but they don't have the cross.
right.
Oh, shut up, Tracy.
Now
I'm
their
gonna talk about it
behavior,
tomorrow.
yeah, their behavior is contrary to the faith that they claim, but they're claiming it. And those who do model Christianity better, I personally, I don't think American Christianity is worth
I'm
much.
trying.
That's individually though, but you're part of a collective. I'm sorry, you've joined a gang, and your gang has an identity, and the gang's identity ain't rocking too well with its mission. So the ones who are trying to really live up to the calling that they say they believe in, they're not pushing back against these jokers because they're afraid of them too, because they'll hurt them too. So what ends up happening is the worst aspects of the people who claim you are seizing the day. And that happens with almost any group, right? When we talk about young black people, what do they immediately think of? The young guy with the shiesty mask on. That's like this much of the young black population. But that's that's who you think of,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah, I'll be talking about that, and I'll also be talking about. Um, I'll be talking a lot of Indiana politics tomorrow because I don't know, data centers are coming to your town, but they have been coming to
They're everywhere.
ours. And we have a city council person that his home was attacked. And I'm going to criticize the left for going too dang on far because you don't need to be going around shooting people's houses because that's just trifling and you disgusting and you make me sick. So I'll be talking about that. And of course, 154 days until football season starts. So join me tomorrow at 7. It's just a hodgepodge of stuff. But those will be the two things I'm basically talking about.
Cool. So everybody, make sure you tune in to Tracy Media. Is that how they look you up, Tracy Media, right?
Tracy Media 74.
Okay. So Tracy Media 74. Make sure you
Yep.
look up Tracy and subscribe. Doesn't matter if you subscribe on my channel, but go subscribe on hers.
Please
And
subscribe to Thea's channel.
if you feel like it. But please check out Tracy's content. She puts out a lot of good stuff. She's consistently creating, unlike myself. And thank y'all for tuning in or whenever you did see this. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.